In the second Impact segment tonight, with less than 2 weeks to go, we're in the home stretch of the 2010 campaign, and the Democratic Party is hoping Bill Clinton might be able to mitigate the potential damage.
To hear the Republicans tell it from the second President Obama took his hand off the Bible, taking the oath of office, everything that happened after that was his fault.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that their stick?
Yeah.
I'd like to see any of you get behind a locomotive going straight downhill at 200 miles an hour and stop it in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Joining us from Los Angeles, Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. And from Washington, Stephen Hayes, also a Fox News analyst. Leslie, let me start with you. Is Bill Clinton the cure for all that ails the Democrats?
I don't think he's the cure for all that ails the Democrats, and I think a couple of weeks before the election they should have had him pounding the pavement months ago. But I think he can help, and I think one of the ways he can help is people are listening to him a lot more than me, Juan, and I've been saying forever that the Democrats need to have, and I am a liberal Democrat, need to have more backbone and need to talk about what they voted for with pride and not be afraid of what they believed in and not be afraid to push forward an economic package that they not only voted for, but that they believe in, and that this president, who has a great history economically as president in the United States, is backing.
Now, Steve, when I'm looking at the polls, here's what I'm seeing. 61% of Americans view President Clinton favorably. It's about 45%, 52% for President Obama, 45% for former President Bush. So is Bill Clinton the secret weapon? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think, in fact, I think Republican candidates across the country should really stop campaigning at this point. And you've got Bill Clinton out on the stump.
Oh, you're
No,
back.
look, I mean, come on. This is a campaign, I think, not to the benefit of Democrats right now. This is a campaign that's being fought over issues. This is a policy-heavy campaign, and it's based on the performance of President Obama in 20 months in office. And the record isn't good. Unemployment is high. We can go through the litany. But President Clinton, going back to somebody who hasn't been in office for 11 years and asking him to come out and make a defense of a guy who can't even be seen on the stump in most of these places because he's such a negative, I just don't think that changes the equation much.
Well, what about voter turnout? What if it's the case that people say, you know what, Bill Clinton's in town, Bill Clinton's getting me energized? Isn't that what the Democrats are after, Steve? They've got to turn out that base because right now, if you look at voter enthusiasm, it favors the Republicans.
So let me ask you this seriously. Do you think somebody who's going to show up at a Bill Clinton rally and be excited and be energized would otherwise just not go to the polls? I mean, do you really think that people who go to see Bill Clinton, who make a trip out to see Bill Clinton speak, would have otherwise just stayed home? Because I certainly don't. Look, he's not going to hurt the Democrats right now. He's making an argument that other people aren't, and he's connecting with Democrats that President Obama has a difficult time connecting with, including some of the very same Democrats who President Clinton's wife connected with so effectively in the primaries. But he's not going to sway the election. It's just immaterial.
But wait a minute, you're contradicting yourself. You're saying he helps connecting with people who might not connect with Obama. Don't you see a contradiction there?
No, I don't. Look, this is what I'm saying. He can't do any damage. He can connect with those people in a way that Obama can't. But it's not going to get those people to pick up and go to the polls in a way that would actually change an election. I just
Leslie,
don't see it
what do you
happening.
say?
Well, I have to say I'm not sure, like a couple of weeks before, this could necessarily change an entire election. But I disagree with Steve on this. There are people, and I know this, they call my radio program, who will go to some kind of a rally, especially if the speaker's the draw, and Bill Clinton is certainly a name that draws. There are independents, there are undecided that may vote that felt apathetic yesterday and that Bill Clinton inspired them with that charisma and that energizing that will get them to the polls. So
And
I disagree there. I think
Leslie,
that can
isn't
make
it
a
the
change.
case, too, if Bill Clinton comes to town, Bill Clinton's in the newspapers, Bill Clinton's getting the coverage on the local news. He's raising awareness of the campaign and of the candidates that are standing by him. But Leslie, here's another point for you. Do you think people are so stupid that they forget the division between Bill Clinton and Barack Obama during the '08 campaign? Is that all history? Do people just have amnesia?
Well, Juan, I got to tell you, the president talked about a locomotive. I've joked around here that it took me 10 months to have a baby and 2 years to lose the weight. We as Americans forget what we had for lunch last week. I think they do forget that because I think they forget what got us into this economic mess. And I'm not blaming George W. Bush. I'm saying all the factors that did, and that certainly could not be repaired in this period of time by any president.
Well, Steve, when you look at the divisions among the Democrats, what are you seeing?
Well, I think that's a really tough argument for Democrats and liberals like Leslie to make, because the White House has failed by its own standards. They told us what to expect. President Obama came in, remember, he campaigned in the last month, especially the last 2 weeks, on his stimulus package. It was going to turn the economy around. It was going to keep unemployment under 8%. He said that before he was even elected president. Then he had his economic advisors draw up a series of very advanced and very sophisticated studies that told us exactly the same thing. And it turns out that it was not only wrong, but it was wrong in a serious way. So how do you run against that record when your own promises have not been fulfilled?
Now, let me just say this to you, Steve. Would it be better if Hillary Clinton was hitting the campaign trail? I guess it's inappropriate for the Secretary of State, but would she do better than Bill?
You know, she might. I mean, it would be clearly inappropriate for the Secretary of State to be out campaigning, but, you know, she was better at, I think, connecting with these same voters, and she has more relevance. She had been a senator from New York. She's been active in the government now. I think on the margins it would be better to have her out than her husband. But the overall point remains. This isn't going to change the election, and if it gets a few voters that call Leslie's show out, fine. It's not going to make a difference in race by race, on a race by race basis.
But Leslie, what do you think? Would Hillary Clinton be the bell ringer if she was out there on the campaign trail for the Democrats?
I think it would help, but not a bell ringer, because I think that's closer, and there are some people more polarized who voted for Obama and were against her but do favor Bill Clinton over her. So I think it depends on the audience. Yes for some, no for others.
Leslie, Steve, thanks so much for coming in. Coming up.